Okay, so there's my first style, but you're going to have more than one style in any given website. So the next style I'm going to do is I'm going to just create a style for orange, because I want to have this right here, current project in production, be orange, and also I have these little dots here that I'm going to change to orange also. So I want to define another style. So I can go back up to text, go to CSS styles, select new again, and I'm just going to simply call this orange. And this is a new style that is being defined again as a class within my barasa.css file. So make sure you don't click this document only. You want to define it in your style sheet. I'm going to click OK. And same thing, I want it to be Arial. I want it to be 12 pixels. But I want it to be orange, and I also want it to be bold. So let's use a weight also. And I'm going to hit OK. Okay, so now I need to apply it. So again, I'm going to open up my Properties Inspector, and notice again in my CSS window that my style that I just defined, orange, is showing up here under my CSS file. So I'm going to select this title here, change that to orange, and then also I'm just going to go in and change these to orange also. And notice in the code, I think you can see this while I'm doing it, right up here in the code window, that it is attaching the property, the style property, to this little dot icon as a span tag. And that is normally, oops, that is normally what happens. So it's always good to take a look at your code and make sure you understand what Dreamweaver is adding to your code, because sometimes it is not too uncommon to have to go in and sort of manually change things from time to time. So let's preview this. I'm going to save it. And there we go. We've got text that is styled. So one last thing I'm going to do, because notice how my text here starts up a little bit higher than my subnav and my quote. I'm just going to go in here and just add a couple line breaks that sort of push my content down. Again, there's other ways to do that, but we've got now our placement is better, we've got our font styled, so our page is looking quite good. Let me show you another example, and I'm going to use another page we're pretty familiar with. It's the Cupcake Mama page, so let me open up that. And what I want to show you in here is a couple things. How to use what's called a pseudo element, which is creating for your links in your pages your link color, your visited, and your hover. So we're going to talk about that, and I also want to show you how to attach your style sheets, because remember, you need to have your style sheet attached to every page in your website. So we'll talk about that also. Okay, so again, this is sort of reviewing what we did for the Barasa website, but to do your very first style for your page, you'll go down to Text, CSS Styles, select New. I'm going to do a class. I'm going to call this Main, because we're doing this in a completely different style sheet, because this is for a completely different web page, so it's going to be defined in a new style sheet. And this one I'm going to call Cupcake for Cupcake Mama, and as hopefully you recall, that gets saved in my final cupcake. Oops, let me put it down here. CSS. Okay, I'll save that in my final cupcake folder, right at the same level as my index.html page and my images. And I'm going to define this again as Arial. I think I'll do 11 pixels. We're going to do brown text, and let's say 18 for our line height. And say OK. And again, notice in our CSS window, it is showing up in our CSS external file. So again, I'm going to highlight everything, and using the Properties Inspector right here, I'm going to select it. Okay. And again, it's looking quite small. We can change it by double-clicking on it. Just bump it up to 12. Yeah, that looks a little bit better. Okay, so we've got our text here styled, but let's do something here, because in a lot of pages, obviously, you're going to have links within your text, within your content. And you'll see in this Cupcake Mama text that there's actually here a place for an email link. So I'm going to add an email link, and hopefully you guys remember that to do that, you can do that in the Properties Inspector, and by simply putting mail to, and let's say that just goes to info person at cupcake.com. Okay, let's just say that's the email. What you'll notice, and we're going to preview this in Firefox, is that that link just defaults to sort of that standard blue. And if I open up email, you'll see, this is just defaulting, and we probably don't want it to be blue. We probably want to be able to specify our own color for the link, and also right now there really isn't any hover, which we might want to define that hover state so that when I move my cursor over, it changes to a different color. And then there's also the visited state, which means once I have visited that link, what color does it change to? So you can do that again pretty easily using CSS, and I'm going to show you how you do that.